Greetings, everyone. This is Gary Cohen, your host on the Rec Center Show on KSCW 103.1 FM. Our special guest today is Mr. Jim Sloan, President of the Governing Board of the Rec Centers of Sun City West. Welcome again, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, here we are.
Yes.
You know, the summer is about in the rearview mirror. Are you ready for the season, sir?
I am ready for the season. We've got lots of stuff going on this year. We have survived the hot, most of it, except for today. It's still going to be warm. And then we move towards recommencing committee work in the next week, and lots of stuff happening. We've got lots of things planned within the governing board, but also a larger picture stuff around town. So we can talk about a lot of those things this morning.
Absolutely. And of course, while a lot of folks were away, you know, a lot of work was being done here getting ready for the season, right?
Boy, no kidding. And in all areas. The big thing, of course, is the space utilization stuff that's been happening, and Beardsley is almost completed, and that's a big deal. A lot of classrooms have been redone, and also the pool and all of that stuff is happening out there. So we're looking forward to a big opening in November on that one. It will be a soft opening sometime in early September with the classrooms. The yoga's going in there. They're excited about doing that. So a lot of good things going on that way. There's some future closures that are really going to impact some clubs, and I would think that we're not all happy about those, but it's sort of like taking a little bad stuff to get the good stuff, short-term gain, loss for a long-term gain. And Palm Ridge is going to be next, and that means that whole side where Summit A and B is will be closed because computers are moving into where Palo Verde and Acacia Room, and the stained glass is taking over part of the computer club. So that's going to really disrupt that area for a couple, 3 months, and that's going to be a big deal. And then directly after that, we are doing the Kuntz remodel, which is very extensive, and I could talk about that if you want to, but that's been planned. The reason, one of the reasons why are we doing it in January instead of during the summer when we've all been gone, people have been gone, and the reason is that once the budget was approved in end of May, we turned it over to our construction department, who now has to have architects draw up plans. There has to be Maricopa County involved in plan checks and permits issuing. And so it takes that long to put all this stuff together. And so this is the way it is, and it's not going to be nice for a few months. And then we're going to get through it, and we're all going to be happy and look back on it 2 years from now and say, what a great idea this all was.
Well, you know, it's under that category of change is good. You know, you're changing with the times. You know, things can't stay the same over a long period of time.
No. And you know, there's a saying in the business I came out of was the only people that like change are a baby with a dirty diaper, you know. So we don't like change in our world. It disrupts our worlds, and we have to go find something else to do. But unless we make these continual changes, we're not staying current. And if you even just look around us now, there's several things happening. One is the infill around us. Now we've got K. Hovanian moving in, and there's several other projects going on near us. And out Grand Avenue beyond 303, there's lots of homes, thousands of homes going in there. And so there's a lot of competition for who we are. And there's also other 55 and over communities being built around. And those are brand new facilities. So we've got to really stay on our toes to stay current and affordable and attractive and user-friendly for a wide spectrum of people.
So you're keeping your eyes on what's coming in from other competitors, if you will,
right? And
making sure that we're maybe even a couple of steps ahead of what they're thinking about.
We're trying hard, but you know, Gary, that's really hard to do because you think back 10 years ago here, and nobody had heard about pickleball, and now there's 1,500 members or so, whatever it is now, and it keeps growing. Boomers is another one. We never would have anticipated that. So there was no way really to plan for the next surge of stuff. So the stance that we've tried to take is to be two things. One is proactive listening and hearing what people want to have. Just yesterday we got an email from a gentleman saying we need to make sure that we're staying on top of things for the newer generation, and this fella still works. And so you don't have anything at night around here for us, and so we're looking at how to do that better. And so that creates some interesting issue. The other thing that we're trying to do is build when we build, we're trying to build things that are multinational or multi-generational. So, for example, the swimming pool is a good example of multi-generational. It'll attract kids 3 years old, but all the way up to 97, you can go in there and have a good time. And so that's never going to change, those kinds of things. So rooms that we develop now that we do could easily be changed to accommodate new demographics. And that's ongoing. And when I first came here 7 years ago, I was a younger guy, and now I'm middle age. So, but it's kind of interesting to watch it all happen.
Well, different ages have different interests, and we have this
Absolutely.
blend. There was the front page story in the Independent about
Right.
we still have some folks who are among the originals, and now we
Right.
have the
Exactly.
next wave coming in, and then not too long from now, Generation X, and
Right.
So do you find yourself thinking down? How far down the road do you think about? Yeah.
Well, we try, as I say, we try to stay nimble enough to accommodate those kinds of things. Some things we're never going to accommodate, and we can't be everything to everybody. And we try to look forward what would happen, but it's really, as I said, it's terribly hard to do long range planning here. With it used to be 3 to 5 year was the long range planning. Now it's 1 to 2 years because things just change so fast you can't get ahead of it. The other thing about that, Gary, is that the average age in Sun City West has been 74 for the last 30 years. So it's as the generations continue to evolve, and we have people in 97. We have a 102-year-old person that I've met just recently, all the way down to a 51-year-old person. So that's a long spread of people to accommodate into our facilities and into our programs.
Let me ask you, we haven't had a whole lot of rain.
No.
Are there any concerning impacts from the drought to our community?
Yeah, on this current monsoon season, no. That won't impact us at all because our water comes from on the aquifer underneath, which is fed by different things. And we do watch this regularly. When there's a Lake Mead story about the level going down, we all read that very carefully. We did look at a hard look at this last year, based on there was concern that Lake Mead was continuing to go down, and at some point they're going to start rationing water out, which is going to be problematic for us. So we looked at that. We were been told we have 5 years to fix some of that stuff, and that would include desertification of our golf courses. And there's a plan in place if this should happen. It is not happening right now. We're fine, no. So your answer to your question is no. It's not going to impact us, and we're doing fine.
Yeah, because I was thinking about, what would need the most water here would be, I imagine, the golf courses.
Golf courses.
Right.
Well, there's 7 golf courses that we control here, and each of them use 1 million gallons of water per day. Now, just think about that amount of water going out. And we have 7 huge pumps. We just had to replace one last week that broke, and a submersible pump, and it was $100,000 just gone. But if you don't have it, we're not a golf community, and that amenity's gone. So it's cost of doing business.
I think it's amazing when you think about other people hear about, well, we don't get a lot of rain. How are those lawns so green? But really using the water well, right?
Yes, about 10 years ago, the board, Mike Whiting was the general manager at the time, and had some very good thoughts with the board on how do we protect ourselves against future water issues. And so they bought 1,200 acre feet of water at that time. And so that gives us water rights to the aquifers below us. And that has been our salvation. So we never use all of that acre feet of water, and so we're in a pretty strong position unless they start rationing, and then we need to address some issues. But we think it's manageable. We think that we have a plan that will work should that happen.
How are things going with the new rec center cards? Everything still going well along?
Yes. Matter of fact, we have the guest policy you're talking about that has been implemented, and I have personally fielded 5 complaints about it, and Bill Schwen tells me he's had about the same. But that we've had about 100 people say, "Attaboy, good job. It's about time you guys did something down there that was helpful to the community." I'm waiting to see what the comparison will be with last year, Gary, on the number of guests. And I've asked for that information. They said it's too early to tell. We don't have the right enough numbers to make any kind of an assessment. But this next 6 months is going to be a telltale on really how well that's working. The other part of that is that we're updating cards. And so if you show up at a pool or at something and we can't identify you on your picture, yet we know that you're Gary Cohen, we send you up to get a picture taken of you and a new card issued, which is, I think we're at about 5,000 of those now, something along those lines, and it's just boxes of the old cards stuck on the shelf there. So I think things are working very well in that area. People are really compliant, and I think people want to feel pride and ownership in our community, and the intrusion of Airbnb folks coming in and using our programs and our facilities inappropriately is not helpful and is not welcomed by our community.
How are things going with the relationship with Pora? I know there was changes. How are things going in that regard?
Well, I have big hopes for Pora. We met with them just last week. Bill, once a month, Bill Schwen and George Kukchik, our vice president, and I meet with their counterparts, with Pora counterparts, and we have conversations about what's going on both sides and how we can help each other. And we've agreed to assist them in some things. We're working with them on bingo. The bingo will be changing nights at the first of the year, and so I think very well. Ralph Johnson is the president there, and I think he's been on your show. And Ralph is a very sharp guy and is doing very well in leadership and vision of where this should be going, which is their first love of advocacy, and it seems like they're making that happen.
You're listening to the Rec Center Show on KSCW 103.1. We're speaking with Jim Sloan, the president of the governing board of the Rec Centers of Sun City West. State of the Union time, sir. How are things going? Is there any message you would like to give to the community?
Well, we're moving into the season again, so this is the time when we all need to slow down a little bit in our thinking. The streets will be crowded, the facilities will be crowded. They're going to have to wait in line for things that now we walk right up to the counter for. So we need to be patient. We need to pay attention. I'm writing an article on rules and how we have rules in place for reasons. And I had a fellow come in, and he'd been walking his dog on the Kuntz walking track. Now, that's an asphalt track if you've been out there, but he got challenged by a monitor saying, "You're not supposed to be here. There's no pets allowed here." And so we had a long discussion about the reason for rules in our community. And so there are rules in place for reasons. And if we would trace them back to the beginning, I'm sure they had somebody's name on them because they did something that created a rule. And so this is the time to just slow down a little bit, be patient, help each other. Let's look out for each other. And I'm looking very much forward to this next year from a governing perspective, from the governing board, for this reason. Last year was a change year, big time change year. We did GM and CFO, and we've done the space utilization and then the guest policy. All of those things are dramatic changes for our community. Well, this year is going to be, I'm calling a normalization year of us getting used to those things and getting, Bill will have 6 months under his belt right quick. And so he knows where he's going now. He's got a good feel for what's happening on the thing. So I'm excited about this year. It's going to be a fun year. It's going to be a different year than last year, but still a great year. That saying, "It takes a village," sounds like you got a pretty solid village behind you. Boy, we really do. I'm so pleased with the response that we've gotten on the guest policy, for example, is a good example of that. And when we sell out events, and we're just having a good time. This is a great spot to be. I'm so blessed to be a part of it, and so proud to serve the community and the governing board. Well, we thank you, sir, for what you all do, because we love being here. So thank you for what you do every day. You're very welcome. We've been talking with Mr. Jim Sloan, the president of the governing board of the Rec Centers of Sun City West. This is the Rec Center Show. Your host, Gary Cohen. Talk to you next time.